Okay.
Are you guys going to have to do anything different with the weather today?
No. I think we can handle a little mist. We're fine.
Is Zach going to be able to practice today?
We'll see what he can do today. So.
Is he feeling any better or any changes?
Yeah, he said he feels better, so we'll see what he can do today.
What about Bill McGovern? Is he back today?
Billy's in the office, but he won't be able to.
Devin Kirkwood?
Kevin's unavailable today.
As far as what you saw on film, what stood out defensively?
I think missed tackles. I talked to you a little bit after the game, but I think the amount of missed tackles we got to do a better job in open spaces. They checked a lot of balls down. Their running back was their leading receiver coming in. They continued. I think he was the leading receiver in the game for them. Our ability to rally and make tackles on him in open spaces. Give him credit. He was a shifty kid in the open field. But we had to do a better job as a group. Part of that is gang tackling, getting more than one guy to the ball, so it's not just one guy making a tackle in the open field. But when we are in the open field, we still got to go back to our fundamentals. Sink our hips and bend our knees and keep our eyes up. And that could have negated a lot of the games. There weren't a lot of X plays on their offense. There was a lot of check the ball down to the back and throw the ball underneath and let those guys run for plays. So just got to do a better job in the fundamentals. That's why.
Will that be more of an emphasis in practice this week?
No, because it's the same every week. It's not like we didn't tackle last week. So I just think our players, when they're put in that situation, have to be conscious of really concentrating on using the fundamentals when we get to that situation.
What are some ways that you can kind of increase the longevity and the mileage you get out of a running back at the college level, especially if he wants to go on and play at the next level? If that makes sense.
I don't know. You can put him in a plastic bubble and never play him. But I don't know if he'll ever get. It's part of the game for everybody. Is that you have to get her at the game. You have to play the game. But there's also a toll that takes on you. So you're conscious of that, just so you can get through an entire season with the player. But it really depends on the individual and what he can handle and what he can take. There are some guys that they can kind of strap the team on their back and they handle it really well. There are other guys that are. They're 5 to 10 snaps a game guys. It just depends on the individual.
Have the amount of full contact drills at practice stayed the same over the last few years? Have they increased?
Yeah, we don't tackle in practice, so there's nothing that I think any of our running backs get any. There's no wear and tear on how they practice. We practice just like we practice in the NFL. There's no tackling. We're not taking anybody to the ground, so there's no wear and tear on them from a practice standpoint. It's just about timing, getting the timing down of everything, and that's really what the practice focuses on each week when it comes to the offensive execution.
You believe in practice load management as the season goes along?
Yeah, we use that all the time. We monitor our players on a daily basis. So, we'll pull guys out of practice based on how many high-speed yards they've accumulated during the course of practice, and that's all charted in terms of everywhere we are. There's times when kids, you'll get to the third team period and strength team coaches, because we chart our guys in real time. We don't come in after practice and say, hey, Ben had a lot of yards today. We'll know what his max. We know every player's max high-speed yard output is supposed to be at a practice level. And to a point where if they don't get it during practice, we'll get it after practice. But if they did get it during practice, then we shut them down when they get their number of yards. So.
Is there any sense of possibly telling or talking to Dorian about not hurdling? Would that?
Yeah, those discussions have happened, but I think he's an instinctive football player that, sometimes it's benefited him. Look at what he did the other night. You look at the SC game. There's certain times, but there's other times. I think there's times. It really depends on how people are deploying their tackling on their assisted ability. Are there people diving at people's legs? And it's a weapon that somebody on the offensive side of the ball has to be able to use. Zeke had one in the Colorado game. Someone well knowing him, and he hurdled over a kid. It's probably people notice it more just because it's not the norm, But I think we always talk to our quarterbacks all the time about protecting themselves. So I think Dorian's done a better job this year than any other year. We talk about getting first down, touchdown, get down. And he ran out of bounds a lot on Saturday, even though he ran for over 100 yards. But trying to not take that big hit is a big thing because availability is one of the best qualities you can have in a quarterback.
Any talk with the team after? I mean, there was a little bit of chippiness in that game.
Yep, we talked about that. I think you have to. It's a game of emotion, and you have to play the game with emotion, but you can't let emotion play with you. I think some kids learned some valuable lessons on Saturday, and we'll continue to do that because when it comes into a penalty situation and it hurts the football team, then it's not beneficial to anybody. So we talk about you have to respond to things that happen in every game, and competitors respond, non-competitors react. You can't be reactive during a football field. You have to respond when something happens on the football field.
Another 7:30 game this week.
Pac-12 in the dark. That's the new hashtag. So we find out 6 days. We don't know when we're playing. So we're in the dark then, and then we play late at night, so we're in the dark there. So Pac-12 in the dark.
Does it feel like the world's conspiring against you 3 in a row?
No, I mean that's just this league. Those are the TV contracts that they signed a long time ago. It's got nothing to do with George and his group. You know, it's again the biggest thing for me. We don't care what time we play. It's just the exposure. You know, you had a team run for 400 yards last Saturday night, and no one knows about it. You know, if the tree falls in the woods and no one's there to see it, does it make a noise? You know, so I just hope that we got a good football team, and I hope people get a chance to see us play.
Seems like the crowd's having to get bigger at the Rose Bowl. Do you appreciate that support?
We do appreciate that. You know, I think it's a little bit difficult situation here being on a quarter system because the students aren't on campus in the first part of the year. We did play all of our conference games at home, but I think as the students have gotten back on campus, it's been a great atmosphere up there, and we're hoping for much of the same this Saturday against Arizona.
How does Casimir Allen just continue to prove his value to this team?
Kaz has got great versatility. You know, I think his ability to be a returner, a receiver, and a running back, and his ability to seamlessly kind of transition between the three right now. He's done a really, really good job. You know, and that's we put a lot on his plate, but I think that's because Kaz can handle it. So, you know, when we found out that Zach wasn't going to go, it's like, all right, we're going to play Kaz in there because Keegan was a little banged up, and Keegan was a warrior on Saturday. So it was a luxury that we were fortunate to have that we could, you know, take a receiver and move him into the backfield. But he started as a running back, so it's, you know, it's a transition that I think he's handled. He's handling all 3 spots really, really well right now.
Could we see him at running back again
Yep.
in the future?
He could. Yeah.
Is he going to practice there today?
He practices at both anyway, so he goes back and forth depending on what we get scripted play-wise. So, you know, Deshaun and Jerry just worked that out. We need him here with his playing during that play. So we've been doing that for a while. So that wasn't his first time getting reps at running back. He got more extensive reps because Zach was out. But, you know, he had the long run in the Stanford game, you know, from the running back spot. So he's done that earlier in the year for us.
How unique is it that you lose your starter at running back and then you run for 400 yards?
Yeah, I think it's a credit to our depth, you know, from a skill position standpoint. The fact that you have a quarterback that can add to that rushing total, and then really what our guys did up front. I thought our offensive line and tight ends played really, really well and understood it. And it was a challenge, you know, when you lose anybody like Zach. That's a big blow to the football team. But for our guys to respond, that's what I talk about. Competitors respond. I think our offensive football guys on the offensive side of the ball really responded. You know, when they knew that Zach wasn't going to play after warm-up. So, you know, what do we got to do? I thought Kaz stepped up, Keegan stepped up, Dorian stepped up, and I think our whole offensive line and our group of tight ends really stepped up.
How unique was it for you in your history? Do you ever remember?
Well, we went to Arizona State 3 years ago and we're told in warm-ups that Josh Kelly wasn't going to play. So we've kind of been through that before with the same group. So that's, no, we didn't run for 400 yards in that game. We were productive on offense, but not as productive as we were last night. So
Back in Oregon days, do you remember anything like that?
back in Oregon days, we were just rotating running backs. We had some great ones, LaMichael, Kenyon, DeAnthony. You know, we had a lot of really good running backs there. We had some good depth, but I don't remember a scenario like that. There could have been, but I don't really look back like that, so I can't recall exactly. So.
This weather remind you of Eugene?
Yeah, I like this one. It's nice. We get too comfortable sometimes in Southern California weather-wise. So I told our guys I was excited that we had this for a couple of days and get their focus on what the focus is. We can't control the weather, so let's not worry about it. Let's focus on having a really good Monday. So this is a good change of pace for us. So. And Scott can't handle it, so I'm really worried about Scott with this whole situation.
That is true.
The Vice President of the United States is on campus today. Are there any players on the team who are politically inclined?
There's a lot. I did not know that the Vice President of the United States was on campus today, but there are a lot of our players that are politically inclined. So this is our first time. Should be right there.
She's right there.
Cool. So I'm sure they'll be done. We'll be done early at 11. So a little bit earlier than that. So they'll have the rest of the day to kind of take that in. Is she speaking today? What time?
Yeah. Not
I
sure
don't
what
know
time.
the time.
Yeah.
Soon, it seems like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'll be out. We'll be out in an hour. We can cut this short. We can get out even earlier. All right, guys. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks,
See you.
guys.
Thanks.